These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? They're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see.
Two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's barley basket.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 46 of America's Barley Basket. I'm your host, Nathan Folsenbuck. Sitting beside me virtually is Marlin Wells.
Oh, shit, Nathan. How's it going?
Here it is. Fucking trivia after dark, brother. We're doing a nighttime recording.
Yeah, my neighbors will love it.
Yeah. They'll finally get to hear what you do on the weekends. And it is not sensual. It's very...
Speak for your damn self.
Yeah, hey, thank you. You know what? I needed to be put in check there. I don't know what you're doing to yourself right now, what you're sitting on, what's sitting on you. Who knows?
I'm over here with oils.
There could be an army of people lying on top of you right now. It could be a doggy pile. Like,
be cool, everybody. I got to do this Simpsons podcast for the next 3 hours.
You reach a certain age, and man, you just don't get in many doggy piles anymore. You know, like there was at least a monthly thing when you're 8 years old. Like,
yep. No, you grow out of dog piles eventually.
If you are 45 years old and you're regularly getting in doggy piles, you are into FetLife deep. You're like FetLife Pro. You've
paying for a subscription.
Yeah, you've reached like a 10,000 posts level. So like,
nope, it has been a while since I've been in a dog pile, and I'm happy about it. I ain't sad to see it go.
No, I'm that way too. Even as a kid, I've gotten more claustrophobic the older I've gotten. But like when I see a player get tackled by his teammates in a celebration, I start to panic. Like the idea of being at the bottom of that fills me full of terror. Yeah,
I was on the bottom of enough dog piles as a kid. I don't need to bring that back. Like that's fucking Dunkaroos. I can leave that in the past.
Jesus, I just had a goddamn complete brain collapse.
Yeah, you good over there?
Yeah. On that note, I was going to mention, and in COVID news, still got it. For those of you scoring at home, it's the damnedest thing, Marlin, right? Like I'll have 2 days in a row where it's like, oh, I guess I'm not sick anymore. Then the next day it's like, surprise, look who's back.
Guess what,
it's the row. I ain't done with you yet.
Where do you think you're going?
Yeah. Still ain't got the smells, which, I mean, the way I live, sometimes that's not the worst thing.
You know what? There could be worse. There could be worse symptoms for you when you're making your bathroom tuna.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of nice. As also the way I live, it's kind of nice to be able to smell so when you know when shits went bad.
I mean... you could take this as an opportunity to change some things in your life.
Man, I would rather die than eat pouch tuna. I'm always daddy's a can boy. I was no silver spoon in this mouth. I'm buying cans from Costco. We back a pickup up to load up my tuna purchases.
I don't think I've ever had pouch tuna. It looks good in the ads, but I can't say I've ever had it. I'm not much of a tuna guy to begin with.
Even when you're in a health nut mode, not a tuna guy, huh? Not crushing them tuna cans.
No, like, man, tuna's just one of those things that I always have in my kitchen and rarely touch.
Oh, no doubt. Okay. Yeah. I go in tuna phases where I'm crushing tuna and then, I don't touch it for a year.
I gotta have so much other accoutrement in there that whatever its health benefits are canceled out immediately.
Oh, okay.
By all the Miracle Whip and mustard and pickle relish that I put in there. It's not doing me any good.
You know what I love, Marlin?
What's that, Nathan?
A little program called The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
We are bursting through the walls of season 11, brother.
We're in it. We're past 10, which is like weird to look back and be like, holy shit, we've been through 10 fucking seasons of this show.
A decade of laughter is what I like to call it.
Yeah, we've like this. is up there with the most of any show that I've watched.
Oh, absolutely. And we're not even a third of the way through it.
Nope. We're something
baffling.
like 220 some episodes in, which is... It has to be. It has to be the most episodes of any one show I've ever watched.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think we're even surpassing Married with Children at this point. So, yeah, this would probably be it for me. I can't think of any other sitcom that even comes close.
Right. Like, the only thing that might come close for me is, like, Monday Night Raw. But even then, I bet The Simpsons got it beat for me.
Yeah. So it's the fall of 99, Marlin. I am a 19-year-old boy who moved to Nashville for some insane reason right at this time.
Oh, shit.
Me and my buddy Adam decided film school was going to be the path for success for us. So we packed up our very ridiculous... If you were to look at a list of the things I decided to bring with me on a cross-country move, you would have thought I would have died in South Dakota by how poorly I planned. Like, it's shocking. I was smart enough to put gas in the goddamn car. Like, I brought my entire VHS collection, but I didn't bring fucking a bed. I didn't bring like anything you would need. Like, I moved down there. I bought an air mattress, which went flat 2 weeks into living there. So I slept for the next 10 months on a flat air mattress, which you know what that means? I slept on the fucking ground, Marlon. Yeah. I slept on a hot piece of plastic. The ground would have been better.
Yeah. You wouldn't have sweated nearly as much.
The life we live. And again, I'm moving also. Everything I owned had to fit into a goddamn Pontiac Sunbird, which not meant for moving.
Not a cargo car, yeah.
Nope. And it was something else. For the first 3 months, our living room consisted of a beanbag, which we shared.
Mm-hmm. We've discussed your shared beanbag.
Oh, the TV VCR combo. Sitting on a folding chair with a giant homemade water bong. That was how we lived. It was like
Jesus.
It's like we were squatters that just somehow managed to pay the rent. Like, you would think there would have been more pride of ownership.
Yeah, you'd have thought. You'd have claimed some manner of authorship over your life, but I guess not.
But we didn't. I can barely remember the age of where I could function. If I slept on the floor now, I would be in the hospital for a month. One night would be all it would take. I would have to be in traction, months and months of all sorts of physical therapy just to live a somewhat pain-free life again.
You have to holler for somebody to come over and get you up off the floor for sure.
Yeah, that was fixing power tools for $11.25 an hour, and holy shit, did I think I had life by the dick. I was like, I could never spend this amount of money. This is an absurd amount of money. That was for a guy that's had a lot of random manual labor jobs, that was the first and last time I ever got to actually use that thing that's attached to the wall in businesses like that you're supposed to rip off and pour into your eyes in case you ever get something in your eye.
An eye wash station?
Yeah, there you go. That's the proper term.
I've never gotten to use, I've never had to use one. I'm not convinced I should frame that as I've never gotten to.
I hope that's, I hope that isn't like a bucket list thing. I managed to get hot solder in my eye.
Oh,
and it melted directly into the center of my contact lens. So thanks, Bausch and Lomb. We looked at it, like I pulled it out, and you like it was melted perfectly encapsulated in the middle of it. Like, it's like, oh boy, I'd be blind right now if it wasn't for that contact. And I pretty much have worn glasses exclusively since then.
Man. Were you not wearing goggles, I assume?
No.
Just freestyling it.
Brand new in the package safety goggles sitting at my desk or on my workstation. No, I'm not a poser. Destroy both of my eyes.
There's that North Dakota mentality. I don't need to be safe. Being
Who
safe
needs a
is
coat?
for the wimps. Get out of here.
Just because it's winter, you think I'm going to change how I dress?
Yeah. No, take the guards, take the shields off. Fuck it. What are you afraid? You want to live forever?
Little arc. I never killed anyone. Well, it blinded 7 of your uncles. There's 11 more.
Yeah. You claim blindness runs in the family, but no, none of you will wear a fucking face mask.
Yeah.
When you're welding.
The Simpsons, I assume, would practice proper eye protection while welding, any form of welding. And
I don't know, man. We just saw a couple people get springs in their eyes last week. That is true.
So. Homer, yeah, you're right. I don't think he would.
I definitely didn't have as much excitement as you going on, but when this season started, I would have just been a 14-year-old boy, just not knowing
nothing.
Shit about fuck. You know?
And just growing in all sorts of weird ways, starting to smell up the house, having to be gradually nudged toward the bathroom. Hey, it's bath time, bud. It's not a weekly thing; it's a daily thing now. I somehow, for not having
weird spots, yeah,
getting the fuzz. Oh, dear Lord, the fuzz.
Oh, the fuzz.
I lucked out somehow. Thankfully, for not having an older sibling. I think just always being hyper aware of not wanting to be teased. I was always good about picking up on cues like that. Like, oh, I need to bathe every day. Like, oh, hey, Mom, I need deodorant now. Or, hey, I'm going to shave these rat hairs off my face so I don't look like a fucking scuzzbag. Like,
yeah, I think if I'm remembering properly, I've always been a pretty hygienic dude. So yeah. I don't know that it was ever a struggle in my 14-year-old world.
I think a lot of it was being fat. So because if someone stinks, who are they looking at?
Yeah.
I wanted to have an impenetrable record of always being a good smelling lad.
You can't be fat and dirty. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna be fat, you gotta be clean.
Yeah, or you could just revel in your dirt dogness,
right. But that's a whole other path,
Yeah, that's a path that I almost applaud. That ain't me. I'm not courageous enough to be a dirt dog. I can't be the pig pen in the Peanuts gang.
Yeah, nope. I don't need stink lines on me. Yeah. I can't do it. I'll be the well-cleaned, decently dressed fat guy in the group. Yeah. That's fine with me.
So in season 11 of The Simpsons, I was hoping there'd be a hot new Drexel's Class or Babes for us to laugh at, but not really, Marlin. We have Futurama, which we have both discussed our enjoyment of. But what we do get for a fun new show that's going to have some legs, following The Simpsons this winter of 99 into 2000, was the debut of Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, which was that's one of those shows that I think is huge, but I've never seen. One of those quietly ultra successful shows.
Yep. I could count, 10 to 20 episodes total I've probably seen. And every time I'd watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is very enjoyable and it's unique. It's doing its own thing, which I always appreciate. But it never sunk its talons into me. Oh shit, I got to plan my weekends around this shit.
Right, and especially at the time and the way it was shot, I'm sure if you were to go back and watch it now, it feels extremely 1999 or 2000. But yeah, I never watched it, never cared to, I guess.
And that's where we kind of got our first taste. I mean, besides bits and pieces here and there, kind of Bryan Cranston's first real taste of stardom.
Yeah, that was the show that made him, I think. He like you said, had definitely, it wasn't his first time acting or anything, but that was, I feel like, one of his first big ones. Yeah, totally. And who would have seen his career arc? Yeah, no kidding. Who would have thought that the dad from Malcolm in the Middle would become the well-respected, highly acclaimed actor that he is? Yeah, in his 50s, he becomes America's most beloved dramatic actor, a respected dramatic actor. Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch Breaking Bad? Are you a Breaking Bad guy? I put Breaking Bad. If we have to go down the ranking road, I still put it behind The Wire and The Sopranos. For me, it goes The Wire 1, Sopranos 1, The Wire 2, Breaking Bad 3 as the best serialized dramas I've ever seen. Okay. And this is coming from a guy that hasn't seen 75% of the really celebrated serialized dramas premier dramas, yeah. Yeah. Never seen Mad Men, never seen Nip Tuck, never seen fucking Dexter, Weeds, any of that. Game of Thrones. Yeah. I like Breaking Bad, but don't love it. I certainly don't love it the way so many people do.
Oh, see, like it's one of those shows when I find out I have a friend that hasn't seen it and is about to start watching, I'm like jealous. Like, oh man, you get to start from scratch and enjoy this roller coaster you're about to go on.
I think that its back half is significantly better than its front half. I think for me anyway, I think the first, I'm going to say 3 seasons are a fucking slog to get through for me.
No kidding.
I think it's dreadfully boring up until, like, for me, that show, for me, it starts when they start working for the guy who owns the chicken restaurant. Like, for me, that's when that show starts. Like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. You know what you are going to give away, though, Marlin?
What's that?
The goddamn plot of episode 1, season 11 of The Simpsons.
Goddamn right we are. It's called
Say Your Prayers.
Beyond Blunderdome. How you doing over there?
Not a fan of this episode, but you know what? God damn it, that was rude of me. Continue, please.
Okay. So Homer heads down to the electric car dealer because he saw an ad on TV that says you get a free prize if you test drive an electric car, which $19.99 feels early for an electric car ad, but I guess
wasn't
not.
Ever.
Again, we're fucking North Dakota. We're so isolated. Nothing comes here till 20 years after it's showed up everywhere else.
While we're preaching about things, this would be a perfect time to push the documentary from about 15 years ago, Who Killed the Electric Car, which will make you want to burn the world down because they had a plan to have us all driving electric cars by now. This is what we would have, but nope. Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, can't have nice things.
No, we can't.
Homer, just there for the free gift. He doesn't give a fuck about an electric car. Drives it into the harbor with no sense of panic. Just like drives it off the pier, lands in the water, and he's just like, relax, it's an electric car. It's like, what does that mean?
Yep.
Gets it up out the other side of the harbor, and it all but explodes. He takes it back, and they open up the envelope to see what the free prize was, and it's 2 free tickets to a test screening of the new Mel Gibson movie, which is a remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And there might be some jokes I missed out on because I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, I know vaguely the plot points. I know it's Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, that's all I know, too. Jimmy Stewart is in it.
Yeah, there's like a lot of loud speeches.
I know it's very well liked, also. I love that Marge is, like, super into Mel Gibson, by the way. That's her...
I think a lot of moms were. I think that was a thing in the late 90s. A lot of moms were into Mel Gibson. This is right around the time of What Women Want. Was that what it was called? With him and Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
He was starting to do more shit like that. Yeah.
I was about to say, what was he even doing at this time? Like, the Lethal Weapon movies were ubiquitous all throughout the 90s.
He was still a star. He was like... You forget about some of those random one-off movies like Ransom and Conspiracy Theory. Like, those were money makers.
Payback,
Payback might have been his last big I'm the face on the front of the movie money maker.
Sure.
That was around the end. Well, then he got into doing Passion of the Christ, and that was a huge time suck. And then he also just went absolutely off the rails. Found out he's not a big fan of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
That's because like I was thinking... It isn't many years after this that old Mel Gibson's rep did a 180 and the funny thing is we get a making fun of Robert Downey Jr. scene and
which I thought was funny, but
done an opposite 180. Now he's beloved. He's cleaned himself up. Good for Robert Downey Jr.
I hope that somewhere in the future there's a Simpsons episode with Robert Downey Jr. in it where they take a shot at Mel Gibson. That would be good for me.
Yeah. Just edit out their images. They can just swap sides. Man, on that note, Robert Downey Jr. at this point in his career was in a weird spot. He was just, he had a very bad drug problem, but he'd pop up in the occasional good thing. Like, he has a small role in Wonder Boys, which I find to be a very enjoyable movie. A random ass horror movie called In Dreams, I think. But yeah, homie was struggling in 1999. But
yeah, this was still pre like Scanner Darkly and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which really brought about the revival.
Yeah, God, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's good.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is fucking flawless. That movie's so good. So they go to this test screening. Everyone likes it, but Homer, he's bummed out and bored throughout the whole thing because there's not enough action in it. As if every movie needs to be an action movie, is apparently Homer's line of thinking throughout this whole process. The crowd kind of corners Mel after this test screening, and they're all oohing and aahing over Mel Gibson. And Homer tells him exactly what he thinks about his movie via this comment card. And we get all the yes men like telling Mel how great it is. And he comes across Homer's comment card and is just immediately under the impression that everyone's a yes man except Homer Simpson. He's the only one brave enough to tell me the truth, which is a leap, but okay.
And I think we've seen that with other episodes, or like with celebrity heavy episodes, where for some reason they think Homer's the answer for something, or they're reliant on Homer. Like that's a common trope.
Or that he's the everyman, he's the one who builds that car in that episode because he's the epitome of the average Joe. So they take the plane back to Springfield and pick up Homer because he thinks he's the only one who's going to tell him the truth. So we get the Simpsons in Hollywood, and here's where we get our fantastic Robert Downey Jr. joke. I laughed real hard at this because they're like driving through the studio lot, and they're like, oh, and there's Robert Downey Jr. shooting it out with the cops. And then the joke is so quick, Bart just goes, I don't see any cameras, and they're done. Like, that's just this quick drive-by joke that I really enjoyed.
I love jokes like that make you earn it. Like, you got to be frosty, head on a swivel to catch it because it's quick.
Homer's making all these bad suggestions for the movie, and Mel's starting to think he made a mistake by having him out here. Homer's main thing is that he wants to action up the filibuster scene, which is apparently the big climax ending of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So he essentially just wants to turn that into an action scene, and they do. They put together a redo. They shoot new footage and put out a new cut of it, and they show it to the execs, and it's ridiculous. Like, when he fucking picks up the American flag and javelins it through that man's chest and he tips over so it's pointing upwards and waving is so good. And like decapitates the president, who for some reason is like English and with a top hat and monocle. Like, just little visual jokes in there like that. And Homer throws him an M16 and he mows down all these senators. Like, real up there, real fucking out there action scene to end Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
I was wondering, have you ever been to Hollywood before?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Haven't been to California ever, now that I think about it.
I think it's time for
when
Hollywood
I make it, I'll be there every day, baby.
Yeah. Living on Rodeo Drive in your beautiful, beautiful mansion.
Yep, that's me. Gonna be Beverly Hillsing it up.
I got like a little glamour pet you would bring with you, like a I don't know, like a pygmy alligator or something. Wears the same outfit that you do. Has that alligator got prescription sunglasses? Is there anything too decadent for Hollywood Wells?
Much like me, or much like Riff Raff, my goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
Yeah. I would applaud that.
Yeah, just live a life of decadence in the Hollywood Hills.
Please, America, make this happen.
You make that trip? You make it out there ever?
I did. The only time I've actually been to like real deal Hollywood, probably like in my early 20s, I went with my parents. We brought my grandpa to California so he could see one of his brothers while they were still, ambulatory, could do stuff. And we were in an early 80s beat to shit Ford conversion van. I'm like, Dad's like, well, we're here. Let's go down Rodeo Drive. So we're like driving through these elite mountainy neighborhoods. I bet there was no fewer than 10 laser sights on that van. Because with that van, without very out-of-state plates, these people are here to abduct people to try overthrow the government. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, that's how they look at North Dakota plates on the coasts.
Remember when we first pulled into LA, and I mean, it's Mad Max style traffic, but you've driven enough big cities, you know what that's like. And my dad trying to, he doesn't drive in towns with more than 2,000 people in them very often, and driving a giant conversion van. He cuts off a guy in a tiny little coupe sports car convertible. Of course, it's California, so it got the top down. And this guy turns around and just flips my dad off very vigorously. And he thinks it's go time. Like, he's like, going to find this guy. I'm like, hey, I think this happens like every time you drive in LA. Like, how much would that guy lose his shit if he just pulled in somewhere, forgetting, not realizing there's a van been following him for 45 minutes. And my fairly large dad just piles out of it and stomps the shit out of him in front of a Pets R Us.
You want to flip me off, Buster? And just fucking putting the boots to him?
Yeah. And then we just take off and leave him there. Just here for birdseed.
That'll show him be so rude.
Yeah. Got some of his teeth in my knuckles.
Oh God!
And I can picture that guy to this day that was flipping him off. He would have had his hands full. He was not the kind of guy that should be throwing middle fingers around willy nilly.
Oh man!
Because I am that guy too. I know that. That's why I don't.
Right. Same here. You don't know who it is that cut you off. You don't. Mm-hmm. You don't know. So be careful. The studio hates this new ending to the film, and Mel and Homer grab it and take off because they want to destroy it. And we get a chase sequence here. They show up at a what would you call it? Like a car museum for movie cars. I like the joke that Adam West and what's his name are in the Batmobile as they're not dummies, like they're not mannequins. It's the actual actors. Homer and Mel Gibson and the rest of the family is there too because they're just out seeing the sights, and this happened to be one of the sights they were seeing. They steal the Road Warrior car, and I haven't seen the Road Warrior in a while, but I don't think that's the Road Warrior car.
No, yeah.
Isn't his car a muscle car, a Trans Am or something?
Yeah, I mean
Mustang maybe.
The Road Warrior car it's an Australian car. I think the brand was Jensen. It's because I know in the movie, Last of the V8 Interceptors.
Yeah.
So it's a Jensen Interceptor is the name of that. Holy, this is a deep dive in Southeast Asian. But yeah, it's a very crude representation of that car at its best. But
I think it might be supposedly the truck that the bad guy has is what it looked like to me. Again, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah. Short list of my favorite movies ever.
I fucking love that movie. It's number 2 among the Mad Max movies.
Oh, and Fury Road first?
Oh, yeah. Fury Road is number 1 by a mile for me.
I still put Road Warrior ahead of it. Maybe that might be nostalgia talking, but man, they're both so good. Fucking Road Warrior, I love that movie so much.
Road Warrior's fantastic. You can't take away from it, but
on that subject, I just like Mel Gibson. I've watched a handful of his post losing his mind movies. I like him as an actor. I don't know what it is. He's good at being vulnerable. I don't know if that makes sense, but a believable vulnerable. I don't know. He's good at being a downtrodden guy trying to earn someone's trust or love back. He's a good redemptive character.
That's probably the best word for it. I really like him in, like, Lethal Weapon. Like, they deal with so much good, like, mental health and suicide stuff in that movie through his character that, like, I think he's perfect in Lethal Weapon.
How many of those did they make? There's at least 4, I think, aren't there?
5 for sure.
There's 5. That's wild. Yeah, that's a hell of a run. While we're on the subject of Mel Gibson, I always got to mention this. If you have not seen Apocalyptico, go see it.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, dude, man! If you enjoy action, it is. Talk about the short list. If you were to make a list of my favorite movies of the last 20 years, I'd be shocked if it wasn't top 10. Do you never remember it at all when it came? I mean, it didn't get a wide release. First off, because it's spoken in some long dead Native American language, but it's all Native American based, where they're that tiny little tribe in South America that gets captured by the Aztecs or the Incans.
I do remember this now. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I for sure do remember it.
It is, the action in that movie is like, Mel Gibson does action well as a director. Like, I think I only saw it once because who the fuck would want to watch it again? I remember enjoying Passion of the Christ just visually, and like, I think the guy's a good movie maker. It's too bad he's a fucking lunatic that is never going to be given the reins to any project that big again, because I love how his movies look. Like, I haven't seen Braveheart since it came out, but I remember it was a banger when it came out.
I have not seen that movie since it was fairly new, and I remember thinking it was fucking boring.
Oh, no. Yeah, really? Yeah, I guess. But also, you were pretty young then, though, too.
Yeah.
Like,
and so many, like, prestige drama movies, especially having anything to do with war, just bore me to tears. Like all the movies you're supposed to, all those big, heavy, like, comes on 2 VHS tapes.
I was just going to say that. We discussed that, yeah.
That you're supposed to love as a guy, like Braveheart and Gladiator. I don't fucking like any of those movies.
I don't know if I've ever seen Gladiator all the way through.
I don't think you're missing anything.
Yeah. It never, and I like Ridley Scott, but that movie never spoke to me. Like, oh man, I need to see this. Like,
I have to correct myself. There's only been 4 Lethal Weapons, but the 5th one has apparently been on its way out for a long time now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a few hiccups along the road.
Yeah, I think I was so convinced that there were 5 because I've seen that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia too many times, where they make Lethal Weapon 5.
When that audio recording of him leaked, I just remember like how screechy and high pitched his voice was. It's like, that's a level that you know it's real, because that level of anger you get where your voice cracks like that. Like, I've only reached that once or twice in my life. Like, he is losing his shit in those.
I wonder if that new what the fuck, Fat Man, that one where he plays Santa Claus and Walton Goggins is a hitman trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that ended up being any good. I never bothered.
Yeah. It looks
got Walton
fun. Yeah,
Goggins,
again.
so it must be good.
Yeah. I'm on board with everything that trailer showed me. Like,
yeah, same here. Boy, where the fuck are we at? Oh, right. We started at Road Warrior and ended up here. Man, bothers me that I can't remember the bad guy from Road Warrior's name.
You mean the character's name?
Yeah.
Lord Humongous.
Perfect. I knew it was something amazing.
Marlin.
I think the only character name outside of Max I remember from that movie is the Golden Youth, who's the dainty blonde guy that rides on the back of the other guy's motorcycle.
Yeah. Holy shit. When they're handing out jobs after the post-apocalyptic desert wasteland, you get that Golden Youth postcard handed to you, and you read that job description. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I guess it's not labor intensive until it is. It's real.
What am I going to be doing in the wasteland? Fixing cars or picking vegetables? Nope, you're his significant other now. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Since we're pro wrestling nerds, got to mention in the late 80s, I'm pretty sure the wrestler known as Sid Vicious, aka Sid Justice, aka Psycho Sid, wrestled in WCCW as Lord Humongous. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but for those scoring at home, yep, exactly, yeah, just a big, tall monster.
So we get this this chase scene with the Road Warrior vehicle and the execs. They stop and they moon the executives. That's Homer's plan. And then Mel's like, okay, what's the rest of your plan? Well, nothing. They'll stop. This is what you did in Braveheart. And Mel Gibson is like, yeah, we did this, but then there was a huge, long, bloody battle. We don't have a plan. And so Mel rolls out of the way, and then the executives just kind of hit Homer's ass with their car, and that's the end of the chase sequence. And it's all for naught, because the very next scene is the premiere of the violent ending recut of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which the people of course fucking hate.
And that's where we get Mel kind of giving that speech about the demise of action movies in America, because I just remember the line, I blame the internet and the return of swing music.
Yep. Yeah, he gives a long thing about how nobody likes action movies anymore and yada yada. And then, drives off. Homer and he drive off in the limo while Homer is continuing to pitch movie ideas, and then he throws Homer out of the limo, and that wraps up the episode.
You know what my final note is for that episode?
What's that?
It just says 2 words, shit episode. I was just like, fuck, this is it. 22 more seasons. Them getting a big celebrity and just fucking making an episode about it, even though it's not good. I think maybe you enjoyed this one a little more than me, just kind of going by. But I don't think you were too jazzed either.
No, it had a couple of decent jokes, but they're all super self-contained, like that. Like the Robert Downey Jr. joke, I thought was very funny, but I mean, it doesn't contribute anything other than one chuckle. It's, as the credits were rolling, I was like, huh, okay. Well, that was real middle of the road kind of whatever. So we'll see where we go from here.
Well, Marlin, I'm happy to tell you, I believe episode number 2, Brothers Little Helper, the first 90 seconds of this episode, I laughed more than I laughed at that whole last episode, because you know what it involves? Look who's back, motherfucker. The Springfield Volunteer Fire Department. I was so happy to see this.
Yep, and I noted as well, I'm sure Nathan is giggling. It's not that I find the volunteer fire department funny. I find how funny you think the volunteer fire department is. It just lit up my whole face. I was like, here we go. One for Nathan.
Oh, man. I was so thrilled to see them back. And just there were some good gags early on. When Skinner is a fireman, apparently, because whoever needs to be is one for the sake of a joke. And Bart and Lisa are surrounded by this fire equipment. It's they're at the school giving a tour of everything that firefighting's all about.
Yeah,
and there's
fire
all those
safety day.
So yeah, there we go. And there's all these suggestively named items, and Bart knows that they are, and he's pointing to each of them and having Skinner tell him what it is.
Yeah, well, that's a hose extender. Huh? It sounds like you need one of those.
And the sad groan noise that he makes when Bart tells him that cracked me up so much.
Yeah,
God,
that was a funny bit. I really liked Ralphie thinking that the Smokey the Bear was Santa.
Yep. It turns out maybe Ralphie, bit of a firebug.
Yeah, who knew?
It sounds like, yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there in a previous episode, he does say that's where I saw the leprechaun, and he told me to burn things.
Yep, he sure did. And I love Milhouse all excited about that Dalmatian. Can he do any tricks? And Mo just, that dog is so inbred he can hardly stand up.
And it collapses. The dog just falls into a pile of bones.
I've always heard that Dalmatians are some of the dumbest dogs you can find.
I wonder why then are they fire dogs?
I don't know.
They have to just be like mascots. They're not useful in a fire, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I would think. I'm sure there's some weird backstory behind it, but I'm sure now they're more just like a mascot of nothing else.
I'm sure in 1919, some Chicago fireman had a Dalmatian, and now that's the thing.
And I loved the skit that they put on for fire safety.
Oh my God.
Well, I just love the commitment to the characters that the Flanders is. They are into it. They play those roles well.
I was dying at Ned as Mad Dog the biker.
I think that World War I era trench helmet on.
Yep. Oh. Holy shit. Yeah, and all of his fucking stop, drop, and roll, that's for Clydes. What?
Yep. That's my note. We need to bring the term Clydes back.
Never heard that before, but that was...
We used to use the term clems when I was in high school to describe someone. Someone could be a clem.
Just by being a dope?
Kind of more of a dud, like a wet blanket. Like, just kind of like, oh, he's a total clem. Like, someone's like, oh, I got to be in by 9 p.m. I got my fish need feeding. It's like, you're 16 years old. Don't be a clem.
That would be new to me. I think the only, like name insult that I ever had was... or that I ever used and picked up from somewhere was Chauncey as a, like, if someone's being a fucking idiot, like, oh, good work, Chauncey.
Yeah. I think of Chauncey's as like a kind of a fancy boy too. Like, Chauncey has to have his aqua socks before he swims in the lake. Chauncey cannot go barefoot.
Oh, fuck.
But so during all this, there is a fire mishap, and Ned is truly on fire. When they go to get the fire hose, they found out that goddamn Bart is flooding the gymnasium, which is even for Bart standards. He's going for big air.
Thing. It's pretty extreme.
Yeah,
for Bart.
Mm-hmm. So. Skinner is very, very not thrilled with Bart. And now he's reached a new level, so they bring in Homer and Marge. They got to talk. What are we going to do with this goddamn kid of yours? And they end up convincing them to try to get him to take a drug called Focusyn, like a Ritalin type drug for his attention deficit disorder. And Bart wants nothing to do with it. And I did like the line where Homer's trying all sorts of different tactics and it doesn't work. And Bart's up in his treehouse. When Marge goes, I thought maybe you just loved me enough to let me help you. Holy shit. That is some next level mom psychology. Like, oh my God.
Yep. I was impressed by the she really swung for the fences with her mom guilt.
Yep.
Oof.
I remember my mom
was a hell of a line.
My mom would sometimes get us with mentioning, like, what do you think baby Jesus thinks of that whenever we do something wrong? Yeah, I bet that makes baby Jesus sad. Do you want to make baby Jesus sad? I don't want to make baby Jesus sad. Well, then I guess we won't start things on fire at the creek anymore. Baby Jesus rooting all over fun. I bet you just a little baby with a beard too was always what was in my head. It's
like full grown but tiny.
Just
an
grown man head on a little baby body. Yeah,
well, that's always wrapped in blankets. So you were just seeing the rest of the world. You were just projecting.
Yeah, I figured like normal sized head babies were malnourished or something.
I don't think my mom ever wielded Jesus as a weapon, but the church did.
The church
so I
did
got
enough
of it. Yeah.
Lutherans leave it up to the parents, where the Catholic Church kind of takes the reins.
Yeah, for sure. Bad things happen because of you personally and the things you think and do.
Yeah, God damn it, this episode, man. Like, again, it's just, we're not getting those crazy good jokes of the prime years, but this one has multiple things that made me laugh. Like, when Bart is now on those pills and they're in the school in class, and Nelson's like, look at those dogs going at it. And all the kids are running, and those dogs are, and he's like, how he says it to it, yep, fighting over a fan belt. Like, that's a common thing. And then Milhouse, dogs are outstanding. It's so great.
Christ. I liked the Millhouse moment slightly before that, where we see the extremely warped gym floor from Bart's prank,
Yep.
and somebody goes to chest pass it, and it just hits one of those warps and smashes Millhouse in the face. And he goes, "Oh, my sports goggles!" And those were clearly just his glasses.
Yeah. That reminded me of the old Boston Garden. They always said that had spots in the floor that the other, like, the ball might die if it hits it, so turnovers would happen, which is so amazing that they played on that into the mid-90s.
No shit, yeah.
That NBA basketball was played. If you looked at it, too, because it was the parquet floor was like 8x8 chunks of wood that they would remove piece by piece for when the Bruins had to play hockey afterwards, and it was beat to shit. Like, it was very shoddy. Like
it's a fucking YMCA outside of Des Moines. Like,
yeah,
guys, you're a professional basketball team.
We have very few shithole arenas, stadiums left in professional sports. It's going to be so sad. Like, I'm trying to think of what's left. Like, the Oakland Athletics play in the Oakland Coliseum. That's a concrete dump. There's so few of those left. I think the NBA, they're all, but I think Tampa Bay, it's not even that it's old. It's just shitty. It's like, and that doesn't have the same ambiance. I don't know. Like, it's
right.
Like, for this is a strictly North Dakota reference. It's like the Alaris Center if they played baseball in it. Just it's this giant Quonset that has no charm and not built for not built for its intended purpose.
Our high school had a perfectly serviceable gray tiled gym floor for like the entirety of my time there, except like 2 years before I graduated, somebody on the school board decided we gotta have this fucking ultra expensive, super nice hardwood floor. So we got just the most beautiful wooden gym floor installed, and within 2 years the high school was closed.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah, they fucking put the most baller rims on that 91 Mazda 626, and then it fucking went to shit. Like,
yeah, then the transmission went out and I got parked behind the barn.
I remember the majority of the town being like, why the fuck are we putting in this gym floor? You guys, like,
I love
build
how
them desks.
Small town North Dakotans are so Republican, only get what we need, scrape by, low taxes, low government, until they want something ornate for their tiny school in their tiny town. Like, what do we need this for? Like,
well, the conservative republicanism is easily trumped by the horrifying, shitty self-centeredness of the North Dakota sports parent.
That is very true. Good point. Very good point. I think we've discussed it on this podcast. We had a wooden floor that they had to raise money and replace just within the last 10 years because sometime in the mid 80s, they had a circus in my high school and someone decided it's a good idea to have an elephant walk around on the gym floor. And a young Nathan rode on that elephant.
Oh, God. Yeah, I do remember that.
I like that we've been doing this long enough we can have elephant flashbacks.
Well, elephants never forget. Right?
Yeah. So this Homer and Marge and Lisa are all just baffled by the new Bart, and they're in the kitchen, and there's a great scene and Bart is like weirdly like he's all about it right away, and he's having fun joking about it, but he breaks out that book because he's trying to kind of help everybody, and he writes Marge that letter, that note, and then Homer wants something. He gives Homer that book. What is it? Is it Chicken Soup for the Loser?
Yep, something like that.
His description of it gave Bill Buckner the courage to open a chain of laundromats, and Christ, that had me cracked up.
Anytime there's a sports reference from that era, I think, oh boy, Nathan's gonna like that one.
Bill Buckner's such a great, because he's what he's known for those not in the know. Yeah. He's the guy that let a grounder go between his legs late in a deciding World Series game, and like literally a life-altering mistake. Like they interview him about it to this day, and like he just talks about what it was like to come back from that, because it would not have been fun. But But
Yeah,
apparently
the city of Boston didn't forgive him until they
finally won one. Yeah,
until they won one again in the 2000s.
yeah, almost 20 years. Yeah, and I wondered if you caught on this because you've mentioned it before, Marlon. What do we find out in this episode? We find out that Homer's pants are not jeans. They are bright blue pants.
Yeah.
It's like Bart calls him out on it.
Yeah, how does he put it? In bright blue pants, you're not on a golf course.
Yeah. And Homer's like, oh, I had been thinking of making them into shorts.
And he does. He's got cutoffs in the next scene.
So great. Yeah. He's at work. I mean, they are scandalously short. We can see the pockets. That's how short these cutoffs are.
You gotta love a pair of cutoffs that are so short that the pocket sticks out the bottom. The pockets are longer than the pants.
Yeah. Homer and Marge are very happy about their plan of getting Bart on these pills, but then pills do what pills sometimes do, and Bart kind of starts losing connection to the physical realm. He becomes very paranoid, and I love that he thinks that there's satellites owned by Major League Baseball are spying on the town. Which
he's doing the tinfoil hat thing. He's got coat hangers hanging in his room, and is like, the Major League Baseball satellites are spying on me. And I like that from here on out in this episode, they start drawing him with extremely small pupils. I don't know why, but just that switch from a round black pupil to just a pinpoint does wonders. I think that one little touch adds so much.
And they're trying to talk him down. He's like, nope. He actually escalates it by he starts gobbling those pills like they're good and plenties. And he ends up getting his hands on a tank, which not good if you know Bart Simpson's track record. But actually, Bart is not on a plan of mischief. He ends up shooting down that goddamn satellite. And wouldn't you know it, he was right, which was my favorite twist in this episode.
Yeah, I think that was such a good turn that, like, holy shit, Bart was right.
Yeah. And Mark McGuire shows up to kind of like patch things over about the fact that Big Brother Baseball is watching us at all moments.
Holy shit. I was dying when he comes in there voiced by himself. He did his own voice. And when he's like, you want to learn the truth about the satellites, or you want to watch me sock some dickers? And the whole crowd goes, dingers, dingers. Son of a bitch, I was dying.
Man, I enjoyed this episode a lot. This was fun.
Yeah, I liked that one a whole bunch. And one extremely of the time reference that they make when the Simpsons, when they decide like, okay, Bart is doing so well that we can sneak away for a night to ourselves, and they go see fucking Showgirls at the theater.
Yeah.
Like, there's a quick Showgirls reference, and God, I had forgotten that movie existed. That movie's so fucking bad.
Never seen it.
It's worth seeing one time so you can see how fucking bad it is.
And I mean, and I love it when things like this are this bad, because it wasn't a B movie. It's like, I can't think of the director, but he's done a lot of like erotic thrillers that were like well received and made money. Like this, it was a big deal. Like, I mean, mostly because of how, racy it was and that they had to skirt around an NC-17 rating and stuff. But what I like is this is like 4 years after Showgirls. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Showgirls wasn't in the news in 1999. Or is that kind of the joke? Is it playing at like an art house theater or something? I don't even know.
I think so. I think that's got to be rolled into the joke for sure. But like, that's a movie. Like, I was fucking young at the times that it came out, but that was a movie you heard, like, your friends' dads whispering about.
Oh, no kidding, yeah.
Showgirls.
See, like, that came out when I was, like, a sophomore in high school, and, like, we only had one VCR in the house, and it was in the living room where everyone is. So I'm not going to watch someone from the Saved by the Bell get filled 6 ways till Tuesday with my mom 8 feet away. That doesn't sound like a good time. Like,
not going to sit down with the family and watch Showgirls.
I used to hate when any movie would have any sex scene, let alone a movie that's 45 minutes of sex scenes. Like,
yeah, for sure. You just sit there awkward, and this was before you could just look at your phone.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. How nice that must be for today's kids. Today's kids are so desensitized by sex that they probably just have casual conversations about fisting with their moms. Like, it's like, because they've seen it all. They're just destroyed morally, like at a very young age.
Oh God. That movie's real fucking bad.
Well, now I'm intrigued.
Episode number 3 of season 11 is Guess Who's Coming to Criticize Dinner? The kids are taking a field trip to the newspaper. A bunch of parents have volunteered to drive all the kids. Homer is driving, and he's got, I believe, Bart, Lisa, Nelson, and Milhouse. And at some point, Nelson fucking slugs Milhouse and knocks him unconscious, and Homer congratulates him. He's like, bless your heart, Nelson. Yeah. I love the recurring joke that Homer hates Milhouse.
No, yeah, that's a timeless classic that he enjoys Milhouse getting one up because Homer doesn't like nerds. He's of that era.
Yeah, he thinks he's a dweeb.
Yeah.
We're going on a tour of the newspaper. I almost said factory, but whatever, where the newspaper is made. Going through the sales pit, we get Gil. Gil is now selling newspaper subscriptions. I think last we saw he was selling cars. Yeah, he's not a good enough salesman to do it, you know.
Lord, he tries.
Yeah, God bless him. We see that it is the retirement party for Mimi the food critic. She is retiring or leaving for whatever reason. Homer crashes the party and gets an assignment, because he loves food so much, gets an assignment to write up a food review, and hey, if we like it, you'll be our new food critic. Lisa helps, obviously. She's essentially Homer's translator, because Homer, just makes noises. He does his drooly thing, or he's not an articulate man. Yeah. So you have Lisa playing some manner of translator for him.
An earlier joke that I enjoyed was the mentioning that we haven't seen Unter since the last... and then I love the pleading of his parents. Like, we just want closure.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is my very next note. When they're at that fancy restaurant. Yeah, it's mentioned earlier that we haven't seen Uter forever, and Skinner even mumbles something about Uter. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then, they're at the restaurant, and Skinner and his parents are at the next table, dressed all fucking lederhosened up, real stereotypical Germans. And please, where's our son? We just want closure. I wonder if we'll see Uter ever again.
I sure hope so.
I hope so too. God, he gave us "Don't Make Me Run, I'm Full of Chocolate," so I hope that he's not gone forever. They go to a so Homer's the food critic. He's writing about all these restaurants. They go to Planet Springfield, their Planet Hollywood knockoff, and there's a bit there's a funny joke where they're looking at the memorabilia on the wall, and it says "The Cane from Citizen Kane," and they're like, "Ooh!" And then Lisa has to stop and be the one who's like, "Wait a minute, there's no Kane in Citizen Kane." And then one of the pieces that hangs on the wall is the script to The Cable Guy, which Homer freaks out and starts shredding there in the restaurant. And I have noted, wait, I like The Cable Guy.
Yeah,
I didn't know that movie was hated.
Yeah, I remember at the time it was kind of, because it was kind of made fun of a lot, because it was the movie that kind of ended Jim Carrey's box office winning streak.
Yeah.
And I think history has been kind to The Cable Guy.
I was just about to say, I think you're right. Maybe that movie only has some reverence in retrospect. I don't really remember the hubbub of it at the time.
Yeah.
But I fucking like that movie.
Yeah, I think
lot.
it holds. Like I've never. That's another one of those random movies from the mid '90s when I wasn't watching a lot of movies that I don't think I've ever seen all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces on basic cable. I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. Real.
I have a lot of friends that like
comedy.
it.
Yeah. One of the other restaurants they review is a rotating like Space Needle restaurant. Have you ever been in a rotating restaurant?
I have not.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I have. I've been in one.
Ooh, where at? Do tell.
I want to say
Bismarck.
Denver. Bismarck, yes. It was either Denver, Colorado, or Louisville, Kentucky. It was one of those on a livestock judging school trip. But I believe it was Denver. I'm pretty positive.
That is such a thing for a bunch of small town people to do once they get to the big city. Is just go eat at a novelty restaurant. Like,
yeah. And it's like, it is kind of weird. Like, it's one of those things, I think it makes like one full rotation every 50 minutes or something. So it's barely turning, you know?
Yeah.
But it is weird when you leave it because it takes you a while to get your equilibrium back, which
interesting.
I remember being really odd. That trip probably would have been right around when this episode aired. Like,
well.
I would have been right around that age. Homer, I love that we get a scene out on the street where all of our beloved characters are obese because Homer's rave reviews have just been driving everyone to go out and eat at restaurants. And we get fat Monty Burns, who's just chubby as can be, but still totally Mr. Burns, and he's like, he waves and thanks Homer for all of his recommendations, and then his shins just shatter.
Yep. I knew. I was like, oh, fake. You know what? Marlin deserves a Mr. Burns sighting.
So he just compacts down.
And it's kind of cool with it. He's kind of cool with it.
He just kind of waddles off like, oh, my shins have gone again. Like, so good. There's a moment back in the newspaper where Homer meets the rest of the critic staff, and I fucking love that one is the farming equipment critic.
Yep.
I love that that's a position. The farm supply critic, and that one of his scathing reviews is for John Deere because their new equipment is green. Like, eye roll, like, oh, of course it's green again. God damn it, that was funny. So now Homer's being mean. He's being an asshole because that's what the other critics told him that critics have to be like. So we see him out at the dinner theater where Krusty is doing King Lear because he thinks it's a comedy, and it's most certainly not.
Nope.
And so Krusty's bombing up there. Homer's just all uppity. And Lisa, not on board with this, she bails. She's like, listen, you're just being mean for meanness sake, and I'm fucking done with you. So Lisa's no longer writing his reviews for him. So now he's writing them himself, and the editor calls him into his office and chews his ass out on how bad this latest review is. And we get a great, like, Legion of Doom-esque looking meeting happening between all of Springfield's restaurateurs. We get the sushi chef, who we've not seen in a long time.
Yeah, good catch.
And the sea captain and all, Luigi, who owns the Italian place. And they're all trying to figure out, what are we going to do about this fucking Homer? He's wrecking all of our businesses. And they decide that they're going to murder him.
Which adds up. That's a Springfield way of doing things.
Yeah, perfect. A Frenchman who we have not seen before, a very dastardly looking Frenchman. What a perfect fucking mustache twirling Frenchman villain. He has a recipe for an eclair that is so decadent it's sure to kill Homer. I believe at one point he mentions it has 25 pounds of butter per square inch.
Yep. There's a great line with one of the other restaurateurs who like doubts this plan. It's like, you're going to kill him with a pastry? I've seen this man eat a bowl of change. That's a good joke.
Yep, that is a good joke. And then like the Frenchman also adds in, also I'll put poison in it.
Yeah.
So, holy shit. So this is all going to happen at some manner of food festival that they have with all these different vendors, which I looked at and thought, please be over soon, COVID, because I would love to go to something like this.
Like a rib fest type thing.
Well, it looked like the state fair, except just the food lane from the state fair. While we're here, Homer is going up and down the line eating all the food, and Bart overhears, I believe it's the sea captain and the sushi chef. He overhears them talking about their plan to kill Homer, so he gets Marge and Lisa together. They all split up. They're going to try to get Homer out of this before he gets himself killed. And Homer, already full of food, like waddling his way down to the eclair booth. I like that Ned wants to eat the eclair, and Ned's like, "Oh, diddly do! Look at this!" And the Frenchman like fucking shoves him away, like, "Get out of here!" And Ned says something along the lines of, "A rude Frenchman? Why, I've never." Homer is holding this wriggling, pulsating eclair and about to take a bite out of it, and Lisa is trying to warn him, and she just shouts, "Dad, no, it's low fat," and he just is disgusted and hucks it away, and it blows up Hans Moleman's gruel booth.
Moleman's gruel.
Oh, I was so bummed for Hans Moleman's gruel booth. And throughout the episode, Homer has been using the phrase, "I'll never get my comeuppance," which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
And then, so there's this moment of, "Oh, Lisa, you saved me, thank God. And boy, I sure learned to not be a dick anymore." And we're kind of having our Simpsons ending. And then we see all the restaurateurs like chase them out the front gate, and then it fades to black and the credits start rolling as you hear them beat Homer's ass into the ground.
Yeah.
I liked that episode quite a bit.
Yep. I not quite as much as I liked the previous one, but light years ahead of the Mel Gibson one. You know what the common denominator is? They don't fucking waste 20 of the 23 minutes building a plot around a goddamn celebrity. Oh, God damn it. I haven't had this in a while, but I did one of those things where I write down a quote, but I don't put enough context, so I have no clue what it's about. I just have a quote written down. All it says is, it's in quotes, so a character must have said it. He says the crotch wears out too early. I don't know what that's a reference to.
I do know that one. That's when the sea captain is talking to the sushi chef at the food festival, and he's like, "Oh, Homer's at it already. He's got his top button unbuttoned," and one of them says, "You'd think he would just switch to sweatpants by now." Or he'd give up and switch to sweatpants. And whichever, I don't know which one is which, but the other guy's like, "Yeah, he said he would, but the crotch goes out too fast." And they both kind of shudder, like, "Oh."
Yeah, Simpsons shudder. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah. We're up to episode number 4 of season 11, Treehouse of Terror.
God damn it, Nathan. No.
God damn it, no kidding. No kidding. Oh, fuck, I thought I had it. Did I for a while? Was I getting it?
I think you might have said it twice in a row correctly once several months ago, but
okay.
You're on a cold streak.
Yeah. God, yeah. It seemed like I was getting Treehouse of Horror, I guess, would be the proper. Man, are you sure?
Absolutely. Always have been. Yeah.
Treehouse of Horror 10.
Every time one of these comes around, I'm just like, here we go. Okay. Survey says. No. Ba-dum.
So with the Treehouse of Horror, we have always the intro. Some years it's great, some it's not. This, I don't know. I didn't do a whole lot for me. It's a Kang and Kodos appearance, which they're always enjoyable, I guess, in a nostalgic way. They're trying to have kind of like a, would you call it like a variety show? Kind of like a holiday theme or a Halloween theme variety show?
Yeah, they're out on stage in their tuxes, cracking their bad jokes to the studio audience.
Yeah, and again, sticking with tradition, it's kind of a three-parter. We have three different little shorts here. The first is I Know What You Diddly Italy Did. And
have you ever seen I Know What You Did Last Summer?
That's funny you say that. I actually went to that in the theater. I wonder, does it hold up? I don't know.
I've never seen it. That's one that got past me.
I remember it. I don't think it was awful, but I doubt. I feel like I would have seen it again if it was worth watching again. I just remember Jennifer Love Hewitt's ample cleave making my pants hurt. I think that's so. If that was the goal of that movie, mission accomplished.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And this one
also starring Freddie Prinze Jr., a name that does not make it out of the 90s very often.
No kidding. Yeah. And
outside of the wrestling world, he was a WWE writer for several years.
Yeah, which is fascinating that's where his career went. Must have been just like a childhood thing that he's like, hey, I'm going to use my whatever Hollywood carte blanche I have to parlay it into a writing career with WWE. So good for him.
Just a fan.
Yeah.
And got in the room.
I wonder how his work was accepted by wrestling fans, like looking back. Like, did he do a decent job? But I guess with wrestling, it's tough to know who did what, like. Exactly.
Like, all you can do is, like, look at what years was he there and was it any good then? Yeah,
I'm sure being in the WWE writing room, it's like, man, even if we come up with solid gold, it all depends. What does Vince want? What does Vince McMahon want to do? We could come up with a great 6-month storyline. He'll just shit all over it.
Yeah, he's got final say on everything. He was there from 08 to 09 and then again in 2010 to 2012. So,
interesting.
Like 08 to 09 was not great, but like 2011, 2012 was decent wrestling, so...
Wonder, did he take some time off to do another one of those Scooby-Doo movies or something? I wonder trying to think what he was still making back then.
I have no idea.
A Wing Commander prequel that was never released.
I think he was on 24 during that time, actually.
Oh, fascinating. Good for him. And
a show which I've never seen.
And Sarah Michelle Gellar was...
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it had to be where they fucking met, I'm assuming, I was making those movies. And then was Ryan Felipe, however you pronounce his name?
Felipe, I believe. Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, that was a big cast at the time, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a who's who of attractive young people at the time.
You know who else is in that movie in a small role, but I mean it's a part of the storyline. It's not like a cameo. Is Darlene's boyfriend from Roseanne?
Oh, I've never seen Roseanne.
You would know the guy though because he ended up going on and is one of the 4 main guys in The Big Bang Theory. He's the one that dates the blonde-haired lady, like the normal one, maybe would be the way to describe it from the little I've seen that show. Like
the main star of...
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, what an interesting career he's had. Like, who would have thought after that big of a break he would go on to star in a majorly successful sitcom again?
A majorly successful, horrible sitcom.
Yep, that if you were to ask my father, is the peak of human writing ability. That's it. That was where we may as well close up shop on comedy because it can't get any better.
We're done with art. Yeah. Everyone, put pencils down.
At least once an episode, he will laugh hardly and go, "How do they think up this shit?" Just pleased as punch. I'm glad. Good for him.
Which is the peak of dad compliments when it comes to comedy.
Yep. Yeah. Still would not trust somebody that writes something like this for a living. Would find it very suspicious that that's how they pay the rent. But
Yeah.
These wackos in Hollywood are sure making some good goofs. So the Simpsons accidentally run over and kill Ned, and we get Ned, it's pretty much paint by numbers. I know what you did last summer. It's them running from an ominous man in a fisherman's outfit. And then it turns out Ned's kind of cool with it. He isn't too upset because it turns out they were beaten to the punch by a werewolf. That is a swerve I did not see coming.
Oh, is that not in I Know What You Did Last Summer? Is the killer not a werewolf?
There's not a werewolf in it.
Huh. I'll be damned.
So it's like, oh yeah, like that's crazy that Ned, yeah, well, I feel that's a weight off Marge's shoulders until Ned turns into a werewolf and then shit's going to get real. That's the one thing I've always appreciated about the Treehouse of Horror stuff is they make it a horror, this one pretty much ends with, I'm assuming, Homer getting eaten alive. Like you don't see it obviously, but like,
yep. It's off screen, but he gets eviscerated by Were Flanders.
Yeah. Were Flanders, the politest werewolf of them all.
You skipped out on all the great fucking Weekend at Bernie's shit that they do with fucking Ned's dead body. Oh my God. Because they're trying to make it look like an accident. So they have Homer's up on the roof with him being like, oh, hey, Maude. Oh, it's real slippery up here. And then throws the dead body onto the floor, but she doesn't see it. So then he just puts it over his shoulder, opens the door to their house and goes, hey, Maude, it's me, Ned. I'm home. Oh, I think I'm having a heart attack. And then just hucks the body into the entryway and shuts the door behind him.
That part was good, the drop it off of the body.
Shit.
I'll give you credit there.
She's only in it real briefly, but I believe that's not the voice actress for Maude Flanders because she left the show at the start of this season over a contract dispute.
Fascinating.
I think, and again, not having seen The Simpsons, but I do know that they fix that in a very permanent capacity in this season. Oh,
it is coming up, huh?
I believe so. I believe that's this season.
I've always kind of wondered when that was going to happen, but
when they're driving and they hit Ned Flanders in the beginning, Homer's eating sugar crisp, which I love.
Oh, really?
And he's singing the Sugar Bear song, but can't get enough of that golden crisp. Oh man, it's so good.
God, see, I mean, I won't say no to a bowl of sugar golden crisp, but it would be bottom third percentile of cereals that I enjoy.
Okay, I'm a big fan. I'm a big supporter of the golden crisp.
I think golden crisp is one of those cereals that has an exact doppelganger by one of the other cereal companies where it's the same cereal, it's just different branding. I think maybe it's Sugar Smacks or Honey Smacks where they have the frog as a logo. Aren't they the same cereal, just different companies pretty much?
I believe they're pretty close, yeah.
I'm trying to think of other examples. There's a couple of them in the cereal world that it's the same exact thing, just different brands, but they escape me now. There's a one of the other brands has a Cocoa Pebbles knockoff.
Oh, like Cocoa Crisp.
Something, maybe that is it. Yeah, something like that. I know there's and I applaud either of those. Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles, they would be in the very top of my favorite cereals.
I love a Cocoa Pebbles, but I think we've talked about before, I don't like fruit cereal. Yep. Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, any of that.
Tricks.
Yep, Tricks. None of that rainbow colored fruit cereals are not my thing.
I'm usually not. Fruity Pebbles is the exception to that. For me, it's Fruity Pebbles, a mile of other shit, then it's Tricks, and then you got Fruit Loops right below that. And then I don't know if there's any other fruit flavored cereals I would fucks with.
Yeah, I don't. And you can throw an Apple Jacks in there. That's technically a fruit cereal, and that's okay.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's not what I think of as a fruit cereal.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's not my jam.
Mm-hmm. Our second of 3 Treehouse of horror shorts is desperately zeeking Xena, a.k.a. Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl, and in Enter the Collector.
Yeah. I liked the presentation of that. I liked that title card. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But it was just added a fun little something.
Yeah. Again, this one didn't do a whole lot for me, but I just liked it. Just the premise. I thought this was fun. Bart, through some mishaps involving nuclear, what was it, plutonium? I'm trying to think what he got his mitts on.
Well, it was the X-ray machine explodes.
Oh, that okay?
Because they're X-raying the kids as candy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nelson has like a pillowcase full of God knows what that he, does a flying elbow smash to get through the X-ray and overpowers it. And Lisa and Bart are zapped by the radiation that's put off by that X-ray machine. Because is it a giant shelf or is it like a row of bleachers falls on top of Lisa? Like, it ain't looking good for Lisa.
No, and her little feet are sticking up from under it. Like, oh, Lisa's dead.
Yeah, they killed Lisa. That's a hell of a way to start something. But it turns out Lisa, not only not dead, is better than ever because she can throw a goddamn full set of bleachers into the stratosphere. It's like God level strong. And Bart, who was also zapped, is now basically Plastic Man or, Mr. Fantastic.
Stretchy guy from those Fantastic Four movies. I like that you went with Plastic Man as your number one reference to a stretchy superhero.
Always
Plastic
enjoyed.
Man. I feel like Plastic Man a deeper cut than Mr. Fantastic.
And he's kind of a goofball. I like my side characters to be goofballs sometimes, and I think he fills the goofball role for DC pretty well.
Yep, he's a goofy one.
I would like to have a real comic book nerd that knows their stuff. What are the differences between Plastic Man and Mr. Fantastic in regard to what they can and cannot do?
The capabilities. I don't know.
But I remember, it seems like Reed Richards, it's just his limbs stretch. Like, whereas Plastic Man would take the form of a boat and shit. Like, he could...
Or a kite,
Yeah, all sorts of silly shit. Like, maybe Mr. Reed or Reed Richards is just too dignified for that. I don't know if he can do that.
I'm not sure, because my mind is conflating the actual Mr. Fantastic and the character from the Venture Brothers. Yeah. Because they have him do all sorts of wacky shit with his stretchy shit. Plastic Man is a fun one, though. Yeah,
he got those cool sunglasses. He got a lot going on. Good for him. So they now have these superpowers. So and then it's big. What are we going to do with these powers? Bart, of course, just wants to become a more powerful juvenile delinquent. I did like the gag where he stretches his arm out the window and to the door and does like the Three Stooges face thing where like up, down, and just Skinner like saying it as he does it. What's this? Up, now down, left, then right. I got a kick out of that. It was dumb, but I liked it.
Yeah, I just love that. Of course, that's Bart's very first thing is how can I be more Bart?
And cut to Lucy Lawless is in town for some kind of comic book convention, and you get some gags early in that where it's just comic book fans doing comic book fan things, just asking the most mundane, idiotic questions and demanding scientific answers for it. And all of that banality is destroyed when arch villain, the Collector, bursts in. And he's going to capture Xena Warrior Princess, a.k.a. Lucy Lawless. And we get some back and forth between them. He gets Lucy Lawless sealed in plastic because he's a comic book nerd. You can't have you got to have it backed and boarded, baby. Or bagged and boarded. You can't have it out in that open air.
Just has giant versions of the comic book bags. It puts right next to Doctor Who. He's got Doctor Who in one as well.
Trying to think, I think there's maybe a few other sight gags there with other things he has saved in plastic. And this is where we get the first battles between the first and only battle, I guess, between the Collector and Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl. So a fight ensues. the collector is visually, I just like comic book guy, like just what he looks like, and there's, I don't know, it didn't do a whole lot for me laughs wise, if that makes sense. But it was fun. I don't know what were your thoughts?
I liked a lot of these jokes where he's like, I'm gonna encase you in lucite. Like, that's the thing. You know, that's the protective covering you use when you want to have something appraised and all that. Like, that's a joke just for the nerds. Yeah. And, you know, like, Xena's whooping his ass from inside that bag, and he goes to take out the Darth Maul double-ended saber and pulls it out of the package and is gonna attack her with it, but then she points out, well, you took it out of the package, and then he like freaks out, oh no, and falls in the lucite. Like, I liked a lot of those nerd-ass jokes.
Yeah, this batch, I would say this is, I just wasn't a fan, but of this batch, I like this one probably the most. Just visually, I'm a superhero guy, so I got into this.
I liked it, but thought it was super out of place. Like,
yeah,
this
it's
isn't
not
a
horror
thing.
Yep,
at
very,
all.
very good point.
Werewolf Flanders ate Homer in the last thing we saw.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I thought it was out of place, but I did like it. Like those jokes at the comic book convention of fucking scientists being like, in episode this you're sitting on an Appaloosa, and then in the next scene you're sitting in, and her default explanation is just, anytime you see something like that, a wizard did it.
Yeah. Oh God, the fucking.
Like the collector swoops in there with that big magnet and snatches her up, and as he's pulling her away, she's like, oh, I gotta take off my metal bra, and she goes to unhook it and looks down, and all these nerds are taking pictures, and she's like she would rather be kidnapped by this super villain.
Isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought that was
God.
a good joke too.
Think of you gotta have a brave face when you go into those comic conventions and just know, hey, these people love what I do. Don't get short-tempered with them, because the stupidity and just oh my God, like the pointlessness of it all, like
it's got to be a really hard line to walk of like, I appreciate these people so much because without them I would be nothing, but boy do I not like them. You know what I mean? Like, that has to be such a fine line to walk.
Yeah, I never. That's a good way to look at it. Like, so much of this is like necessary, I guess. But yeah, like, what do we? Maybe someday we'll be at that level, Marlin. There'll be a convention for Spring Simpsons themed podcasts, and we'll have people nitpick every dumb thing oh my God, they would have a field day.
In this episode, you meant to say this, but you said that. In this, or what I find when I go back and listen to these, because I have to listen to them to when I edit them, when I put them together, there are so many times where like I will just straight up call a character the wrong name. Like I'll just be like doing a recap and being like, and then Wiggum did this, and it's not fucking Wiggum at all. Like, for whatever reason, a different bingo ball tumbles to the top in my brain once in a while. So yes, I'm aware that it happens. Never in the moment, but always in retrospect. Yep. I'm like, oh shit, that's not what I fucking meant at all.
That's not a word people say.
Yeah. Like earlier in this very episode, I caught myself with how many lethal weapons are there. Yeah, I'm just happy I caught it.
There you go. Yeah. Sometimes you got to be your own goalie in this world.
Yeah. Usually I for sure don't.
So the third part.
Also, I just really like Lucy Lawless. Lucy Lawless
really?
As a person is pretty delightful.
See, I never really have delved into the world of Lucy Lawless. Like, I remember she hosted a pretty good Saturday Night Live right around this time that I enjoyed, but never was a Xena person or a Hercules person for that matter, but...
Neither was I. I really like her on Parks and Rec. She has a recurring role on Parks and Rec, and, like... Weirdly enough, like in the Twitterverse, like she kind of went the exact opposite way of Kevin Sorbo. So like you have these two who were the two stars of the biggest fantasy TV series ever, and they both went totally opposite directions as people, is real fun to watch on Twitter.
I never thought of that. Yeah, that like Lucy Lawless is kind of beloved, but Kevin Sorbo is just, well, I mean, Kevin Sorbo's made his own bed. He made a choice.
Exactly. Oh, Lucy Lawless is super fucking, LGBT, a champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is an icon for that. And meanwhile, Kevin Sorbo just fucking doesn't think people should be able to go to the doctor if they're not a billionaire.
Yeah,
so
he just trumps codpiece.
Exactly. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. That's an image.
Better boil that in a cauldron. So, the final of the three from this treehouse of horror is Life's a Glitch, Then You Die. Starts with The Simpsons celebrating December 31st, 1999. Dick Clark still alive, a pre-stroke Dick Clark, ready for that ball to drop. And it's during the celebration, it's casually mentioned that Homer was in charge of the Y2K compliance. I think it's Lenny or Carl brings it up. Yeah. It's like, oh, good thing we had Homer on that. Homer's like, do what now? Which is a good gag. And then it turns out that it's not like this would just affect Springfield. It's like a chain reaction where Springfield's goes down, that affects this part of the country, which extends to the other part of the country. Next thing you know, the world is in a apocalyptic hellscape where anything that runs off of electricity basically is just going to go tits up.
Yeah, it's like there's the classic Y2K shit that you heard about at the time, like planes falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
But then there's also a little Maximum Overdrive in here.
Absolutely, which I appreciate.
The waffle maker trying to eat them, or Marge gets attacked by an electric razor later on.
All I know is December 31st, 1999. Oh, boy, we went for big air on that New Year's Eve, I'll tell you that. I remember...
Did you take Prince's advice to heart?
Yep, we did something, all right. I just remember it was about 4 in the morning. We went to a party we were not invited to, and I think pretty much everyone was in bed, and we just walked through this house like we owned it. My friend, they hadn't cleaned up from a big feast they'd had, put a turkey carcass on his head, and just casually walked around their house with that on. And I remember thinking, ain't that something?
Really swinging for the fences.
We are. So the best visual gag of the electronic world coming back to bite them in the ass is Krusty vibrating because his pacemaker's going bonkers, which ends up taking him out.
Yep.
And
laying there just kind of flopping, just vibrating like, my pacer.
But Bart, while sad that Krusty is dead, does find a note that mentions, hey, the elite, the best and the brightest, they are giving up on planet Earth. They're going to go into space to live. And
they get his Exodus letter, and I love that means that he was chosen.
Yep, a morning cartoon or morning show clown was going to be preserved.
Yeah.
So they get to the shuttle, and Homer tries to bluff his way on by saying he's the piano guy from Shine, which I thought
didn't get. I don't know Shine.
Shine, I think it was Jeffrey Rush was the star of it. I think he got like a bunch of Academy Award love and stuff. It was an inspirational story of a troubled man.
I do like Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah, very good actor. Haven't seen him in anything in a while.
No, been a bit.
But so that's not working, but they actually recognize Lisa as like, oh, she's like, I don't know, she has some position on the ship that they want her for, that they think she knows.
She's the proofreader.
Oh, okay. Yep. It's something like that. And that may be the only gag that I got a big kick out of this is when they bring her, like, we only have room for one parent. I know it's this. She's like, Mom. She doesn't even think twice.
Says it so flatly and so quickly.
Yeah. Just Mom. So Maggie and Marge get on the, like, oh, okay. bye guys. And it's how quickly it's over. I love too, like Marge just leaves Bart on this hellscape.
Yeah, no one thinks twice. Just getting on the ship. We're going.
So they're left in this world that who knows what's going to happen, but they find out that, hey, that there was more than one spaceship going into space. I don't know if this one had a name, but they get on it. They kind of consider themselves lucky until they kind of notice who's all on that plane. It's a weird mix. It's like Tanya Harding, Courtney Love, then Spike
Sharpton.
Lee, and Al Sharpton.
Spike Lee was
Pauly Shore, Rosie O'Donnell.
They kind of took a lot of shots at a lot of people in this one. Both Roseanne and Tom Arnold.
Yep. Tom Arnold has a speaking role.
Yeah, voices himself on this one. Yeah, it's like their list of people that would be on the bad ship. I thought was pretty amusing. He's not named, but I'm pretty sure Luke Perry you can see in one of the shots. It's either Luke Perry or what's his name from Vampires.
James Woods.
There you go.
Yep.
It's because those two Simpsonized look kind of alike,
so
I wasn't
kidding.
quite sure which one it was. But yeah, he's on there. Yeah, just all these celebrities that are on the bad ship.
And like Tom Arnold's being annoying, Pauly Shore's being annoying, and they realize that the ship is going into the sun, that this ship was designed to launch undesirables off the planet. And they realize they only have 5 minutes to live, but Bart and Homer both agree that they cannot survive 5 minutes more with these people. So they have a eject button, and they launch themselves into space. And they seem to enjoy it because they finally get some peace and quiet before their heads explode.
Yeah, their heads swell up and then explode off screen.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, I remember looking back, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed season 10's A Treehouse of Horror. This one was rough, man. This did not a whole lot for me at all. I don't know. Do you have a more optimistic take? Can you put some lipstick on this pig?
I liked all the nerd shit in that Xena one, and I really liked the Y2K one a lot, like because that would have fit so perfectly at the time. I mean, this aired on Halloween in 1999. Like this was what everyone thought was going to happen, and then all of the joke that because Y2K compliances were a thing that a lot of big places had to do, and that Homer just missed that completely. Mm-hmm. And I love the maximum overdrive jokes and the fucking planes falling out of the sky. And there's Marge standing at the window being like, well, someone's going to have to clean up all these jets. And then you hear another one crash, and she goes, well, there goes the clothesline.
Yeah. What's funny is, I was around, and I was out of high school when Y2K rolled around, and I'm a dullard now when it comes to technology. I was a fucking caveman in 1999, but I just remember knowing anything you read was this is going to be, if anything, a major pain in the ass, but it's not going to cause any kind of major damage. Cool your jets. I think it was maybe originally blown out of proportion, but it was immediately tampered down. It might be a hassle, but nothing's gonna go haywire.
I just or at least chuckle at in retrospect, just the level of it was the Heaven's Gate people or you read about people in the 1800s, saying oh, the world's going to end on this date. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest version of that as far as people talking about it.
I miss when our things like that were something we could laugh at, and now it's this is leading to them electing idiots.
Yeah, I remember kind of when conspiracy theories and things used to be fun. Remember that?
For those days.
Yeah. Episode 5 is the most frustrating title because they should have just done what they wanted to do. It's called EIEI Annoyed Grunt in parentheses.
Yep.
just call it E-I-E-I-DO. That's what you wanted to do.
Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing, Simpsons?
Fucking cowards.
Yep.
Don't act like you're above wordplay now.
Yep. Give me a
Assholes.
break.
I was so fucking frustrated with this. So dumb. What a dumb thing to be mad at. But still.
Hey, that's why we got a podcast.
Yep. Because we're bearded white men with something to be mad about. May as well record a podcast.
An adult cartoon.
Yeah, from 30 fucking years ago. We're at the movie theater, and did you look at the movie titles? Because I sure paused it and wrote them all down. Couple of winners, couple of stinkers, but there is some gold in here, such as My Dinner with Jar Jar and Mars Needs Towels, that 70s movie, which I really laughed at. Maybe my favorite of the bunch, Shakespeare in Heat. God damn it, did I laugh at that. Face Puncher 4 and Das Booty Call. Yeah.
That's the second That 70s Show joke in the last, I think there was one in the late season 10 too, at the 33-cent store. There's some,
that one of the walls is just filled with That 70s Show mugs.
I have a friend whose father-in-law unironically got him That 70s Show calf-high athletic socks. And then he got him like a calendar from the prior year, and like everyone's like, "Oh, he's just getting gag gifts. This is great." Then they just realized, no, he's just inconsiderate and walked into a Dollar Tree and just grabbed everything off one shelf and haphazardly gave it out. Like,
holy
shit. That's something. Like, literally did all of his Christmas shopping in 90 seconds.
Oh boy.
Just being handed an unwrapped calendar from the prior year. Here, Merry Christmas.
I would laugh at that later, but I'd be pissed in the moment. I'd be like, you fucking kidding me right now?
It's like, I fucking bought you a Switch.
Uncle Greg, get your fucking life together.
Oh, good times.
So I love the swerve joke that we start with, where we see what is clearly the Saving Private Ryan beach scene, and then it turns out that it's just a Buzz Cola ad in the pre-movie advertisements. Homer gets up and goes to get some snacks. Has a box of Milk Duds that he has the teenager fill with hot butter.
Yeah.
Like, I am pretty so on a Milk Dud to begin with, but fucking butter on a Milk Dud. Oh boy.
So I'll fuck with some Milk Duds.
Like, I ain't gonna throw them in the garbage like I would a Whopper, but like a Milk Dud is fine. Pull the fucking teeth right out of your head with a Milk Dud.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to be in it to win it with a Milk Dud. You're going to leave a little flesh on the. You're not going to get out of that scot free. Did you say you're an anti-Whopper man?
Yeah, I don't like Whoppers.
They wouldn't make me ill, but yeah, I'm not messing with Whoppers.
Yeah, the texture isn't pleasant, and I don't get down with like malt. Like,
yep.
Not a fan. The movie they're watching is The Poke of Zorro, where it's honestly, as far as cracking jokes at Zorro movies go, which I'm not sure why they were doing this in 1999, unless that was around the time that Antonio Banderas one came out.
That's exactly it. Yeah, like
okay, I forgot that was a thing.
On that note, is it just me that Catherine Zeta-Jones have a really weird career trajectory? Like, she was just all of a sudden here, and she was kind of big. But like, she just showed up and was big.
Yeah. She wasn't like, you didn't see her come up through the developmental ranks.
Exactly. Like, and she was like an adult woman. Like, she was like 30, not 40, 30 somewhere, I would say. Like, oh, but you know what, she is European. Maybe she was like on British soap operas or something. I don't know. Like,
oh, sure, that could be.
It's just interesting how she just all of a sudden, there's this movie star lady that we've never heard of before, but now she's here. But yeah, I've never seen Zorro. I doubt I'm missing out on much.
No, I don't imagine I am either. A lot of the old Zorro shit is actually really good.
Oh, no kidding.
The old Zorro TV show, and I've heard good thing about like comics and books.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Zorro's basically Spaniard Batman.
Yep. And then there was, in the 90s, when the Bad Girl comics were all the rage, there was Lady Rawhide. It was a character from the Zorro comic book universe that got her own spin-off series.
Oh, right on.
From the short-lived Topps, the baseball card company decided to get in on comic books.
What a weird crossover.
Yeah, no shit. Just a cash grab. Let's just make a character with giant tits. There's a lot of that in comics back then.
Well, I was about to say, that's comics in the 90s.
Yeah.
The thing that Homer takes away from this Zorro movie is the dueling glove slap.
Yeah.
The I demand satisfaction, I challenge you to a duel smack. Homer, big into this, steps outside the theater, and Snake gets all up in his face, and he just takes somebody's glove and slaps him, and fucking Snake runs away, and there's just a real long sequence of him doing this. This is another one I think we take a real long time to get to what the episode's about.
Very good point, yeah.
This goes on for a while. I like that he does it to Mo, and Mo gives him a free beer, just like, nah, I'm not gonna, what's the matter with you? Here, have a free beer.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what sets Homer down his path of just getting his way around town, just slapping everybody and getting his way to the point where when he's at the Quickie Mart and he's just walking through the line, he's almost bored with it. He's just like slapping people with this glove, being like, out of my way, slap, demand satisfaction, go on, challenge you to it, like he's bored with his own thing. And then he makes the mistake while going through that Quickie Mart line of slapping a Southern Colonel type.
That's just so great.
With the Colonel Sanders tie and the white suit, and he is on board with this duel.
He is ready to go.
Pistols at dawn.
Yeah.
I like that Apu says something along the lines of, and if you need a tombstone, they're right there in aisle 6. So Homer buys his own tombstone and takes it home.
Another great line in this too, with the Southern Colonel, was "You'll get sap on your dueling blouse." Because I like the idea of having a blouse for dueling.
Yep, that was good. He shows up at the Simpson household at dawn, ready to
Winnebago.
rock.
He ain't going anywhere.
In a Winnebago with a Confederate flag on the top, and I love the shots of the bumper stickers like "I Heart Dueling" and Charlottesville Dueling Society.
It is very buxom Southern Belle wife. They are
honk if you demand satisfaction.
I just like how they make themselves at home in his yard.
Yeah, they got a grill.
Yeah, like it's a campground. Yep.
Yeah. Homer escapes via a Christmas tree, like a clearly dilapidated, should have been thrown out months ago Christmas tree. Homer makes the joke later, and could you believe your mom wanted to throw that away back in April?
Yeah.
So this is clearly in the summer sometime.
Yeah.
But the Simpsons escape, and they're just on the road with no home. Just like, I don't know where we're gonna live. And it hits Homer that they can go to Abe's old deserted rundown farm, which we last saw in season 6.
Yep.
When they make their sex tonic.
I love when they tie back in stuff from like several years ago. I always get a kick out of that.
Me too. I love when any show does that, when they bring something up from several seasons back as if it's canon. Family Guy, pretty good for that. Like, late model Family Guy touches on old shit.
Oh, no
bit.
kidding. That's like why not take advantage of the vast back catalog of nonsense you have to work with?
Yeah, even if it's just like a line, like Brian will say to Stewie, like, well, what about that one time when you did that? And it's something from Family Guy. It's like, okay, that's funny. So they get into the house. There's raccoons in there. Homer says just treat them like cats, but with rabies. And a raccoon bites him, and he goes chasing it away. And there's a line where they're each like, I'll do this, I'll do that. And Marge, just through a gritted smile, says, and I'll repress the rage I'm feeling.
She's like shaking. She's so angry.
Yeah, with just this twisted smile that she's got clamped shut. Nothing will grow in the soil. There's a fucking, I don't know why, maybe I'm simple, but there's a real good recurring joke where Homer's constantly trapped under the tractor.
Yeah. I got a kick out of just the visual, how quickly it happens and stuff. Like, or there's one, it's like, release the brake. It's like digging into his ribs.
Yep. So he can't get anything to grow on this farm. He's just like throwing random seeds out. At one point he opens his hand and he has a bunch of seeds and a candy corn and a gummy bear. Yeah. And he's just throwing them out into the dirt.
A really random gag that's like, because they can't grow anything, but meanwhile the other neighboring farms are just kicking ass with like the high grass, or the corn's as high as an elephant's eye. And they have an actual elephant to measure it. And they're like, good job. And he feeds the elephant a rat?
Yeah, some manner of small, like a rat or a prairie dog or something. Yeah, a varmint, yeah.
Yeah. What was that about? I mean, I liked it. Holy shit.
That was a fun little joke. I'm not sure why. I mean, elephants aren't carnivorous as far as I know.
And I have to ask, because they do dress like what people would assume farm people dress like or what city slickers would think farm. But what any time in your life have you embraced the bib overall lifestyle?
When it came to winter coveralls, because there's two styles, you have
full
bib
body
coveralls and full body, all zip all the way up the front arms and everything.
Yeah.
So I only ever owned coveralls for the reason of cold. So like Carhartt coveralls.
Yeah.
And I always went bib, never went with the sleeved versions.
Never had the full body, the onesie. Never had the cover onesie.
I think I probably did in my youth, but as soon as it became my choice, I definitely went with the bibbed ones. So like getting up to do chores in the morning in a fucking, over Christmas vacation when it's 20 below and you got to feed hay. Like I was definitely in bibs with a coat over the top rather than just coveralls.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I never had the one up, like the one just zip yourself in and you're good to go.
Yeah, like a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
My old man was always a full onesie style. I was always the bib style.
Yeah.
I've never gone the denim bibs route, though. I've never done that.
Never dropped jaws and you walked into the Kent Carson High School with one shoulder undone on your bum equipment, bib overalls.
Yeah. I've never hillbilly gymmed it with bib overalls and no shirt underneath.
That is a bold look.
The fucking Florida formal gown. Never done that. Homer has an idea to get stuff to grow. He sends Lenny, or he talks to Lenny, has him send him some plutonium. So we see all of the fields with that eerie glow that oversaturates everything in green. Yeah. And it gets up in the morning, and I love that he kind of just has movies to thank for why he thinks this will work. He's just like, radiation makes things, huge in movies, like 50-Foot Woman and all that. Goes outside, didn't work at all. But then they come to see that there are things growing. You just got to look for them and be careful. And they grow tomato plants that turn out to be full of tobacco on the inside.
They're brown in the middle.
Yeah, it's really off-putting when Bart bites into that one. I don't like tomatoes to begin with, so a regular tomato is gross. But even as a former chewer and former smoker, a tomato filled with tobacco is a disgusting idea.
Yeah, so sick. But apparently powerfully addicting because
Yeah. Bart, I love that he's immediately like, oh, God, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Get this away from me. And it is within 20 seconds. He's like, give it back. And
Yeah.
chewing on it.
Or I like how he takes like one big bite out of one and just drops it on the ground and rubs it out like it somehow was like the filter, like a cigarette.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's stomping out a cigarette butt. Homer decides to call this tobacco as a hybrid of tomato and tobacco, and is just selling them in a roadside stand, and they're a big hit because they're extremely addictive. We see Wiggum and Ralphie come by and each buy one or each take a bite out of one, and then again have the same reaction of, oh God, nope, wait, give us a bunch of those.
This tastes like grandma.
And then Wiggum bites it. Oh, this does taste like grandma. I like that Marge has set up a little booth on the side selling mince pies, and nobody wants one.
They want that sweet, sweet tobacco.
You ever had like a true blue mince pie, like an English-style mince pie? Neither have I. It's one of those things where it's like, all I've heard is how horrible they are.
I was just gonna say.
To the point where I kind of want to try one just to see how bad it really is.
See what the hubbub's about.
It's the showgirls of food. Something about like, oh, it's got vegetables and gravy and meat and raisins. It's like, hold on, you lost me there at the end.
We got to pause for a second. Did you accidentally say raisins? Like, nope, they're in there all right.
Nope, there's fruit in those things.
I've never once been eating a meat of any kind or an entree and thought, you know what this needs? More raisins.
If only I could get some raisins into this. Yeah. They have a meeting. What seems to be a stretch van limo pulls up and takes the Simpsons, and it's the Laramie cigarette executives. They want to buy him out for $150 million because they can reach the youth with the tobacco, and because it's like, oh, it's illegal to sell to kids, but it's not illegal to sell kids vegetables. I love how just evil the Laramie people are. They have a little family meeting about it, and Homer decides to refuse because they're going to hold out for even more money, and they're thrown from the van.
But he doesn't really do it very subtly. It's $150 million, and his counteroffer is $150 billion.
Yeah, really swinging for the fences.
Yeah. I got a kick out of that.
And when and Homer is like, whatever, they'll be back because we're the only ones with tobacco. And then they see that the neighboring farm animals have gotten into the fields and eaten all of the tobacco except for one plant.
Yeah, one measly plant that they have to keep alive.
And so they're in the farmhouse with this one plant, just like, it's okay, we can start again. We got one plant, that's all we need. We're going to make it. And then Night of the Living Dead style, these animals addicted to these nicotine-addicted farm animals with their bloodshot eyes start crashing into the house, just like a sheep with its fucking face burst through the wall, looking all bug-eyed, and fucking cows and, horses kicking holes. Finally, the elephant from next door just comes bursting through. And now the animals kind of have them surrounded, and Homer doesn't want to give up the plant, but finally does, throws it, and one of the Laramie execs is there to capture the plant.
How ready they were cracked me up. Like they'd been just casually waiting for their opportunity. Thank you.
She hops onto the helicopter and goes flying away, and then, in some Jurassic Park style shit, not that this happened in Jurassic Park, but it's that kind of thing of like, oh, we got away, but it turns out there's one on board the helicopter. A sheep pokes its head up behind him, bug-eyed looking at the tobacco plant, and the helicopter crashes, and all of those people, assumedly,
burned
are
to death. Yep. But the sheep just prances off to live another day.
Yeah. So we get the Simpsons traveling back to Springfield, having learned their lesson and having just barely missed out on becoming multi-hundred millionaires. I got there before they did in my mind, but Homer says, like, I don't even remember why we left in the first place. And the fucking duelist is still waiting for them.
It was a great, visually was good. As he's talking this, he drives by his house. You see the Winnebago. That's what you notice first. It's like the house is blocked out by the giant Winnebago.
Yeah. Duelist is still waiting, and then we see them doing, their 10 paces, walking away from each other, and then just as he's about to turn and shoot, the Southern gentleman is distracted by Marge's meat pies, and wants some of that, and I think it's it's Homer, says like, well, come on, we're gonna do this or not, because he's an idiot. Yep. He had his out. He was off the hook. But the duelist just shoots him in the arm and goes about eating pie, and so does Homer, and that's the end of the episode.
Lisa's like, isn't this one of those things you should go to the hospital for?
I love the categorizing that happens in one's mind of like, is this a hospital injury?
Yeah.
Or is this a home remedy injury?
Can we just ride this one out? I think he says, don't worry, the bone broke or stopped the bullet or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But that one, I don't even really know what to say about that one. Like, I think the Zorro shit in the beginning goes on too long. Mm-hmm. There's a fucking, I think it's during his whole slapping his way around town thing. They got the B-52s to record a cover parody of Love Shack called Glove Slap.
Yep.
That plays several times throughout this episode. And I fucking hate the Love Shack, and so I don't like Glove Slap either. And every time it came up, including in the end credits, I was like, God damn it, can't get away from this fucking thing. And like, even the stuff at the farm I don't think is that funny. There's a bit where he goes to town to the general store to get seeds, and those two bumpkins are giving him grief, like, oh, Mr. Fancy Shoes. And he's like, I bought these from a hobo. Like, everything is too fancy schmancy for these two guys. Like, that was a good little joke, but not a lot was done for me here.
Inside the store, that was kind of good, like, you're never going to go to they get that Simpson play. It's your pH levels. Like that kind of, I thought that was a good gag. Like the fact that he's loading up on gummy bears instead of seeds. Yeah. But like, this is pretty meh.
Yeah, not my favorite. Honestly, as a whole, not a super strong batch, I don't think.
One of the weakest we've had, I would say. The second one was by far my favorite. Third one was close. That Mel Gibson one I thought was dreadful. I just thought that wasn't good. And then this one and the Treehouse of Horror were weak sauce.
Yeah, I think Bart's Ritalin episode is really clever and pretty funny. I think the Food Critic one is solid. I wasn't like, hell yeah, season 11, we're back, baby.
Yep. Oh, no, not a bit. The Ritalin one is the only one of these that move the needle at all.
Yeah, the jokes are there. I just don't think they're I mean, not that I'm the only one to think so, but I don't think the concentration of jokes is there like it used to be.
Nope.
But I mean, I'm going to say it averages more than one per episode of good, solid, chuckle out of me.
Which, again, we always compare it to the shows it was going up against at that time. I think in one of these episodes they mentioned the sitcom Platypus Man. I'm sure these episodes are just as good, if not better, than your average episode of Platypus Man.
I would hope so.
I hope he's added up to the high standards that Platypus Man set in the 6 episodes that aired on UPN in 1996.
God, let's hope.
Yeah.
That That wraps up another episode of America's Barley Basket. 5 more in the bag and 5 more lined up for next week. Next week, the numbering is nice and easy now.
Oh, just like butter.
Episodes 6 through 10 are the ones we're going to be watching next week of season 11 of The Simpsons. You're still getting past your COVID.
Yep, still waiting to squirt out the rest of my Roro. It's gotta be leaving pretty soon, I would think.
Is that how it exits?
Yeah, but it's a violent and it's a toilet battle, I think is what the doctor described it as. That he says it'll feel alarming, but just keep pushing. You got to get it out of you.
If a doctor ever describes something of mine as a toilet battle,
man, if both of us don't make significant changes, I think that's going to be a lot of toilet battles in the future. Getting on it, getting off of it. Clean up.
I think I'll just have him put me down. Sir, this isn't a vet. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Just
Come
bring
on.
the bolt gun
Come on, man.
Yeah. One behind the ear.
Let's wrap this shit up.
I don't know. Just part out my car. Just keep whatever you want to do with it. It's yours now.
I don't want to live through toilet battles. I don't think. I didn't sign up for this, my man.
I don't want to be a foot soldier in the toilet war. Oh, that looked good on a tombstone.
I don't want to know what toilets Normandy is. I don't
my own toilet Waterloo that I have to cross.
Toilet Waterloo. Oh, shit. But yeah, we're just living our lives. That fucking cop got found guilty on all 3 counts, so fucking celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Mud veins back together. We were laughing about that earlier.
Oh shit! Yeah, for those of you who were not, well, all of you, I guess, because it was before we started recording. But Nathan calls me up. Hey man, I'm just celebrating what we're all celebrating. I'm like, fuck yeah, man, fuck that guy. Yeah, mud veins back together.
I was so happy to make that joke. I was smiling like a jackass for like 2 hours waiting on leashing on somebody.
Yeah, I fucking walked right into it.
I never knew Minneapolis was that full of that many Mudvayne fans. They're all celebrating. It's like Mardi Gras.
And fucking pour one out for Jim Steinman, the writer of all of the best Meatloaf songs, and that one fucking banger of a Celine Dion song.
Yeah.
All coming back to me now, and Total Eclipse of the Heart. Dude wrote some hits. So some real bangers.
Besides him and the guy that wrote the songs for Elton John, can you think of any other collaboration setup like that where one guy's the songwriter and the other one performs them?
I think that happens a lot more than you think it does, especially in popular music.
It's maybe the writer just doesn't get as much acclaim as those two did.
Exactly. It's never presented that way. Like, fucking Rihanna doesn't write any Rihanna songs. It's always somebody else. But it's like songs by I'm looking at the autographed vinyl copy of Meatloaf's Bat Outta Hell that hangs on my wall next to my desk where we record this, and it says songs by Jim Steinman right on the front of the fucking album.
And I think with most pop musicians, it's just like hired guns. Like, okay, let's just pick some good songs. But like those two had like a muse, like that guy's my voice, you know, like
exactly. Like there was more working together with those two than there was just like an artist hears a song they like, or a writer sells a song to a label. Like you hear that kind of shit out of Nashville all the time, especially in the, back in the 70s and 80s, of songwriters just writing songs that become big hits, but you never hear of them.
Yeah. There's a guy, I think his name is his name looks like it's pronounced Mac McAnally, but it's got to be McAnally because I know this.
God, I hope it's Mac McAnally.
Nah, Mr. McAnally, but that guy wrote a ton of hits, country hits in the 80s and 90s.
That's how Ronald McDonald likes to fuck McAnally.
He doesn't give you a choice.
Ask Grimace.
Yeah, no wonder he's so glum.
But like, and then you have guys like, especially out of the Nashville scene, like, who then later become stars because it turns out people find out that they're the ones writing these songs. Like fucking John Prine, Sturgill Simpson, Chris Stapleton, like all guys who started writing hits for everybody else.
There was a guy with the last name of Overstreet that wrote a ton of country hits. Maybe Paul Overstreet, and then he eventually finally got to have his own hit. But I just remember that name being a name that was always would show up in cassette liner notes of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so much of the songwriter to performing artist relationship is never. It's at least never advertised the way it was with Jim Steinman and Meatloaf.
Yeah. You know? Like looking at Paul Overstreet, what an interesting. He wrote #1 hits for Randy Travis, the Judds, and Blake Shelton. Like that's, different decades and different kind of style. So probably a pretty talented fellow, that Paul Overstreet.
Yeah, he really covered some ground in there.
Oof, he wrote She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy.
To hell with him, then. I'm done with Paul Overstreet.
But he also did write Forever and Ever Amen by Randy Travis, which...
Well, shit. Okay, now I'm back on board.
I was off, now I'm on.
It's no deeper than the holler, but it's up there as far as Randy Travis songs
go. He also wrote On the Other Hand, so... And by God, he wrote When You Say Nothing at All by Keith Whitley. Jesus. Yep. Yeah.
This is a rabbit hole that we can't commit to tape because we'll be here all day.
Or Paul Overstreet could come out with a diss track about my mom, and I would have to still. God damn it. He wrote for When You Say Nothing at All. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. He wrote On the Other Hand, so I guess.
Yep. God, those are some songs. Holy.
You got to just take these ones, Nancy, or whatever your mom's name is. Yeah. I don't know.
He did have his own #1. I knew he had one. It was called Daddy's Come Around. It's like, Daddy's Come Around to Mama's Way of Thinking. That's how the chorus goes. But
I know that song.
That was his. I don't know if any of these other things were. Yeah, I think that was about it. I think one of those guys had one album with one big hit. The next one probably had a marginal hit, and then that was over. Country music's weird that way. You just, you have that peak. Because country musicians, it's not like they start sniffing ground up dragon bones. Like they don't have like a real exciting, explosive ending. Like they're just
right.
Guess I'm doing Rib Fest.
Get out there and find out who writes your favorite songs, and then find out what else they wrote. It's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, see who they've all worked with.
It all starts with paper. Everything you like, every movie, every joke, every
pale,
piece of music,
lonely person in a room.
Yep, exactly.
I like that the fact that one of the guys from Fountains of Wayne, of Stacy's mom's fame, a band I really enjoy, one of those guys got paid handsomely to basically write one of Hinder's albums.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, man. I mean, it sucks, but Hinder paid for my house.
Fountains of Wayne is one of those bands that is secretly way bigger than you think they are. Mm-hmm. They're a band I hear mentioned with reverence every so often. I'm like, really? The Stacy's Mom guys?
Yeah,
but they apparently have a whole other catalog that I didn't hear. I just heard Stacy's Mom.
I bought one of their CDs because it was like literally 99 cents in like the We Gotta Get Rid of It used selection at some record store, some chain record store. I was like, I'll give this a try. And it was just, I think it was the Utopia Highway or Utopia Parkway album. I was like, Jesus Christ, these guys are good. But I mean, it's not like they're writing profound songs, but they just write kick-ass power pop songs. They're good at it. And then good for them, they got a hit. I'm glad they got a hit. Good for them. They deserve a little recognition.
Yeah, good for them. I always put them in the same folder as like Bowling for Soup. Like, you guys are just fun. Have at it.
And Bowling for Soup. Good for you. I think they might have two fat guys in that group, which I have to applaud.
They used to only have one, but sometime in the last 15 years, the frontman really just embraced a lifestyle, a real sedentary lifestyle.
A lot of bread. Really fun. Except how kick-ass bread is.
Yeah, so now they have two fat guys.
Good for them.
Band.
Usually you're only allowed one. I like a band that's them and Crowbar and Bowling for Soup should tour. I remember Crowbar showing up on Beavis and Butthead. And Crowbar's a heavy ass band, and it's just Beavis and Butthead making fun of the fat guys. Like, wait a second, you guys should like Crowbar. This is your kind of music.
Well, that's gonna wrap up That's going to wrap up another episode of America's Barley Basket.
Yeah, it would take a lot of paper to wrap up this shit show. There's a lot coming out of this.
Bless your goddamn heart if you're still listening somehow.
Wrap a pile of writhing fish.
6 through 10 are the episodes for next week. Get out there and enjoy yourselves, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.